Alright, so here we go, a second video with 8 more measurement devices, and we're also going to get the property or properties that each one measures and the unit or units. So let's get started. So first one, calorimeter. A calorimeter, what it measures is the property of energy. Specifically, it measures heat energy. And the unit of heat energy, or of any energy, is the joule. Okay, so what does a calorimeter look like? Well, it can be something as simple as a styrofoam cup, where a reaction happens and you have a thermometer in it, and it measures the temperature, and from that you can figure out the energy. Or it can be something super complex, like what you might find in a university lab, and it's the same thing as a styrofoam cup, just way better. So that's calorimeter. Next off, let's go to a chronometer. This one, chronometer, fancy word, simple idea. It measures the property of time as time passes. So the unit we use in science for time is the second. And so a chronometer, yep, a watch, that'll do it. That is a chronometer. Next, moving right along, a decibel meter. That measures the property of loudness of a sound, and the unit is, of course, the decibel, and this is the abbreviation dB. And what does a decibel meter look like? Well, we saw in a previous video there was a audio frequency tuner. It looks very similar, except this one just measures how loud the sound is. I think if you wanted to get complex on me, you could say that it actually measures sound energy, but I'm just going to stick with loudness. Okay, so a Geiger counter. What in the heck is a Geiger counter? A Geiger counter is a device that measures radioactivity. So maybe you've seen this in movies before, like Godzilla or something like that. This thing, what it does is, in one way it's complex and in another way it's simple. What it's doing is it's detecting different types of radiation as they reach the detector unit here. But really, in a simple way, all a Geiger counter is doing is it's counting the property of number. In other words, how many. So it's measuring a certain number of counts of radiation occurrences that hit it. So the unit here is just going to be I guess there is really no unit, because all it is a pure number. And if you want to do more research on that and prove me wrong, you are welcome to do so. Next on my list here, I have a graduated cylinder. And what's a graduated cylinder? It measures the property of volume. The units for volume, typically we use liters, maybe milliliters if we're talking about not very big. A milliliter is the same thing as a cubic centimeter. So you could use cubic centimeters. You could use a meter stick, but since this item is actually called graduated cylinder, we're going to be using one of these. And what does a graduated cylinder look like? It looks like a glass tube. It's got a base typically, and then it's got all these little marks. Those little marks are called graduations, and they will measure how much water is in the tube or some other liquid. So that's why it measures the property of volume. So I probably should mention, instead of centimeters cubed, maybe this would be in meters. Meters times meters would give you cubic meters. Anyway, next, a micrometer. So let's see here. What is a micrometer? Reminds me a lot of a caliper. It measures the property of distance. It measures the size of stuff. So that means the unit is going to be meters. Let me see, I found a picture of a micrometer. Here's one. You twist this little handle here, and then you can read these graduations, these numbers. And they can be very, very precise, very, very delicate, and they can measure distances very accurately. So there's that. What's next? Odometer. This is one that hopefully many of you know. So an odometer, what it measures also is the property of distance. it tells you how far your car has gone. So in science, the best unit for that is the meter. So an odometer, you're very familiar with that. It's right here. It's this part with all the numbers, and that tells you how far the car has gone. Last one on my list. I'm just over 5 minutes. Maybe I'm getting better at this, but an ohm meter. What an ohm meter is it measures the property of electrical resistance. And let's say you've got a wire and electricity flows through it very, very easily. It would have a low resistance. It would have a low number of ohms. Or let's say you have a wire that's not very good. It's not made of nice copper or gold or something. It's made of something like tin or who knows what. It would have a higher electrical resistance. Anyway, the unit for electrical resistance is the ohm. What does an ohm meter look like? Well, it can look like this. It can be a box with a couple of places to hook in a wire, and it tells you the number of ohms. There's that little weird symbol, ohm. And nowadays we use a multimeter. You saw this in one of the previous videos. These multimeters measure all kinds of electrical stuff, but ohms is certainly one of them. So there is video 2 of 3. There's 8 more measurement devices, device, property, and units.